Good evening, Metropolis, and Merry Christmas. This is SCP News anchor Sid Van Mecca reporting on what many are calling a series of shocking events. Let us backtrack the story for a moment. Just a few months ago, CEO and president of the McAllister Home Security Corporation, Kevin McAllister, was accepting an award from the mayor of Metropolis. The mayor thanked Mr. McAllister for his years of service to protecting the citizens of Metropolis, Gotham City, Central City, and New York. Mr. McAllister made it his life's work to protecting the citizens who were home alone with no way of protecting themselves from threats entering into their homes. The number of break-ins in the last 5 years has decreased in no small part thanks to Mr. McAllister's efforts. This story could be about a virtuous billionaire like Gotham City's Bruce Wayne. However, this is not the case. Much has come to light in the last several weeks regarding Mr. McAllister's extracurricular activities. Footage of Mr. McAllister blowing up the toy chest, what was once the largest toy store in all of Metropolis, was captured by a citizen on their smartphone. McAllister was seen smiling and laughing maniacally at the destruction in the footage. Not long after this video was released, many citizens took to social media to report their reactions and speculations. Videos about McAllister began to surface from those who worked within the McAllister Home Security Corporation. Several spoke about McAllister's obsession with toys. His office was filled with odd-looking toys. Many of these toys were those that he crafted himself and upgraded using company technology. When asked about why he was crafting toys, his response was simply, "It's the next wave in home security." There have also been rumors about employees who have confronted Mr. McAllister about his toy obsession and misuse of company funding mysteriously disappearing. Even with this information, it is not enough to incriminate Mr. McAllister, at least not until today. SCP News field reporter Elena Blake was in the heart of the city where a fight ensued. Lex Luthor and Mr. McAllister were seen on the streets of Metropolis fighting against Metropolis' own superhero, Superman. Lex Luthor was flying in the air in a giant green mech suit, and Mr. McAllister was on the ground wearing a red and green suit with toys in hand. Luthor shot energy blasts at Superman, which were fused with kryptonite. Superman was trying to fight back, but the kryptonite was too much for him. McAllister, proclaiming himself the Toy Master, fought against the Man of Steel with some insane weaponry crafted from some simple toys. He used a hairdryer that worked like a flamethrower. Though it had little effect on Superman, even in his weakened state, it did provide a major distraction to the big guy as Toy Master would aim the flames towards the citizens in the crowd. Toy Master also used a jack-in-the-box gumball machine that rapidly shot spheres that created a large sticky-like substance that restrained Superman and stuck him to the ground and nearby buildings. The Toy Master proceeded to toss a purple koala bear at the now restrained hero. The koala bear had sharp claws that could cut through steel like it was paper. Superman took some damage but managed to escape his restraints, with the use of his heat vision, which also proved useful against the koala. Luthor flew away in his green mech suit and the Toy Master escaped using a toy rocket. Yes, you heard that correctly, a toy rocket. The rocket flew straight for Superman, and upon impact with the Man of Steel, an explosion occurred. The rocket created a smokescreen that was laced with lead, which aided in Toy Master's escape. The Toy Master is still at large. Any information you could provide SCP News would be greatly appreciated. Remember to be safe this Christmas season. This is Sid Van Mecca from SCP News, signing off. Alright guys, I wanted to try something new for this video, so I wanted to incorporate some design notes on things that happened within this video. So when I was coming up with the pose, I wanted to incorporate more of a body. I ran out of space with the legs at some point, so I was like, alright, no worries. I'll just try to make some of the other characters that I draw a little bit more full body, because in part one where I did the Santa as the Green Goblin, I was like, oh, I loved putting in the full body, and it kind of made it pop out a little bit more. So for this one, I did decide to kind of put Kevin McAllister in front of the back frame and incorporate a lot of the toys and weaponry that he had. Coming up with the weapons was a lot of fun. In my mind, I was like, okay, hairdryer, flamethrower, easy pick. I will tell you my rendering on that wasn't great, but hey, I'll learn how to do that at another point in time, but it was fun to kind of create that weapon. The smoke screen from the rocket, that made a lot of sense to incorporate traces of lead, because that means Superman can't use his X-ray vision to find the Toy Master, Kevin McAllister, or find Lex Luthor. So I think that kind of helps out a lot. The gumball machine gun, in my mind, was a really cool weapon, because it pops out, and then here comes a rapid fire of gumballs that end up exploding onto Superman and then kind of sticks him to the wall, to the ground, to himself. So I think that's kind of funny. And so I kind of had fun with that. And then I just wanted to incorporate like a stuffed animal of some sort. Didn't know what the stuffed animal was going to be, but I ended up choosing the koala bear with some massive claws, and I think it turned out pretty great. There are three known facts about elves that everyone knows. The first being their love of storytelling. Elves enjoy sharing stories of conquest, of history, and even sharing legends through song. The second being their ability to fight is nearly unmatched in terms of nimbleness, agility, and in the arcane arts. The third being they only have three jobs to choose from, being shoemakers, baking cookies in a tree, and making toys for Santa. Okay, so maybe this last known fact only applies to a few elves. Specifically, for one elf named Buddy. Buddy originally came from the realm Svartalheim. You heard that right, realm. You see, according to Norse mythology, there are 9 realms. Svartalheim was home to the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves were being attacked by Asgard. On the front lines was the Asgardian king Odin. Odin was fierce and mighty. The battles raged on for 6 days and 7 nights. On the 7th night, Odin claimed victory over the Dark Elves. The king of the Dark Elves refused to submit his firstborn to King Odin, as were the ancient rules of battle. The Dark Elf King sent his firstborn to Midgard, also known as Earth, to keep his son from being conformed to the Asgardian way like a young frost giant child had. Buddy was transported to the North Pole and raised to adulthood among Santa's elves. Buddy had this feeling that he didn't belong. Something about being cheery and positive didn't sit well with him deep down inside. Buddy was visited by Odin's son Loki, who was sent there to kill the Dark Elf. Loki, being the god of mischief, had other plans. Instead, Loki explained the truth about Buddy's family, the Dark Elves, and what his lineage truly meant. It didn't take long for Buddy to trust Loki. Loki told Buddy that he was destined for greatness. Loki explained to Buddy that he too was taken from his home of Jotunheim, the home of the Frost Giants. Little by little, Loki began to manipulate Buddy and convince him to take revenge against the Allfather Odin. Loki trained Buddy in the arts of chaos magic and in the ways of the Asgardian warriors. Buddy became stronger than Loki could imagine. Buddy took on the color scheme of his mentor, and even crafted a staff using inspiration from his adoptive home. Loki wanted Buddy to test his might against Earth's mightiest warriors, the Avengers. But he began by quickly taking out Hawkeye, Clint Barton, with snow magic. Hawkeye was pelted by multiple frozen icicles. Although he survived, the injuries he sustained would keep him out of action for several months. The Black Widow was next on Buddy's list. She was formidable and stealthy, but Buddy learned a lot about being mischievous from a god. He was able to project an illusion of her greatest fears and took advantage by striking her down with his candy cane staff. One by one, the Avengers were taken out. Falcon, Iron Man, Captain America, even the Hulk. Things got to the point where Thor had to get involved. The god of thunder faced the Dark Elf Buddy of Svartalheim. The battle between Buddy and Thor was reminiscent of how the first battle between Dark Elves and Asgardians played out. Their battle lasted several days. On Christmas Eve, the battle was reaching its climactic ending. The god of thunder called upon the mightiest thunder that he could conjure using his trusted hammer Mjolnir. Buddy channeled all the chaotic ice magic he could into his candy cane staff and released it at Thor. The two energies collided, creating a large blast radius. Trees were uprooted, vehicles began flying across streets, and buildings toppled over. When the dust cleared, one victor remained standing. Loki bore witness to the true power of a dark elf that day. Buddy stood tall and began to glow and shift into his true dark elf form. Across the 9 realms, Odin felt a shift in energy, as did the Dark Elves. Things were about to get chaotic. Alright, so design notes time for this one. I really enjoyed the movie Elf. I'm a big fan of it. I really do enjoy Will Ferrell in his role as Buddy the Elf. And so looking at Buddy the Elf and looking at the color scheme, all I could think of was Loki. And so I really wanted to incorporate Buddy the Elf in the Marvel universe as a supervillain. And so I thought Loki would be the best one to do it and to turn Buddy kind of Asgardian in a sense, even though he is a dark elf. I could have played a little bit more on it. Like I could have given him the pointed ears. I could have made him a little bit darker in the skin, but I wanted to kind of keep him this way so that he was recognizable. But I think if I end up doing a part 2, because that's kind of how the story kind of ends or lends itself to be, then I would just turn Buddy the Elf into his dark elf version right then and there. I think that would be a perfect spot for that to be. if I do a part 2 for Buddy the Elf on his saga. But I had fun just kind of putting in the textures into his jacket. I like the little metal shoulder pads. The collar I didn't know what to do with, so I just kind of put some metal plating inside of it. And I thought, hey, you know what? Loki's got a staff. Buddy needs one. And so I thought, you know what? Goes through the candy cane forest. Why not have a candy cane staff to help him channel his chaotic ice magic, right? Well, let me know what you guys think about Buddy the Elf down below. Star Labs is a biotechnology company. The main purpose of Star Labs is to primarily investigate and research unknown substances and technology to allow humanity the chance to level themselves with heroes such as Superman and the Flash. The Star Labs location outside of Louisiana studied the unusual properties of plants growing in a local swamp. The scientists were stumped by the healing capabilities the plants in the swamp possessed. If you had a broken bone in your arm, you could simply wrap it up with the leaves from the swamp, and your bones would heal in just a few days. For something more minor, like a cut, the healing properties would work instantaneously. The only hypothesis the scientists of Star Labs could surmise regarding the healing effects of the plants is there may be a connection to the water source that was feeding into the swamp from the nearby village, Whoville. Whoville is a place that has a long tradition of celebrating Christmas all year round. There was one resident who moved into Whoville with her dog roughly a month ago. Her name is Cindy Lou, and her dog's name is Max. Cindy Lou wasn't the biggest fan of Christmas or the holidays. She just wanted to get away from big city life and decided to move down to Louisiana as soon as she got an internship at the Whoville Medical Research Facility, or WMRF for short. Cindy Lou's backstory was a very sad one indeed. She grew up without parents and was put into an orphanage. She never got adopted and aged out of the system. Cindy grew up in the streets of Chicago, where she toughened up, grew thick skin, developed determination, and worked her way through university. Now Cindy and her loyal dog Max were going to have their lives changed forever. Part of Cindy's internship at WMRF included gathering herbal ingredients and animal specimens from the local swamp. On the day before Christmas Eve, during one of her outings, she noticed a Star Labs vehicle that had capsized in the middle of the swamp. Cindy Lou immediately ran to see if anyone could still be inside the vehicle. No one was there, but there was a vial of glowing green liquid that Cindy Lou happened to pick up. The moment she picked up the vial, energy blasts blew up the vehicle. The blast destroyed the vehicle and ended the life of Cindy Lou. As Cindy Lou's body drifted through the swamp, the glowing green liquid spread around her. The duckweed, cattails, water lilies, and royal ferns began to gravitate towards Cindy Lou's body. Eventually, the plants and Cindy Lou sank into the swamp. The energy blast came from Alec Holland, a scientist working for the WMRF. He had been synthesizing a top-secret chemical in these marshlands for the past several years. Once he had perfected it, the chemical was taken by one of Star Labs' employees, who ran off into his van. Alec Holland managed to use a plasmatic blaster to take out one of the van's wheels, and the vehicle capsized in the swamp. Alec witnessed the Star Labs employee escaping from the vehicle and ran off. Just moments later, Alec witnessed a woman dressed up in holiday clothing going into the van and taking the green vial. Alec determined that there may have been 2 Star Lab employees sent to take his research, so he aimed the plasmatic blaster at the vehicle's engine and blasted his research and the girl sky high. Although Cindy Lou had physically been destroyed, her mind had melded with the vegetation of the swamp. Her consciousness drifted into what was later known as the Green. The Green is one of the elemental forces in the universe, inherent and connected to all forms of plant life. It is a cosmic energy force that animates all the plant life in the universe. The Green had chosen Cindy Lou to be its champion and to protect all plant life. Cindy Lou agreed. The plants coated with the green formula crafted by Alec Holland began to merge and form a muscular male body made up of the vegetation from the swamp. The body grew tree bark on his forearms, wore the torn clothing Cindy Lou had worn, and put on a Santa hat that was floating in the swamp. The new swamp thing that appeared out of the water instilled great fear into Alec Holland. Alec attempted to shoot down the swamp creature, but it was not made of flesh and blood. The plants began to regenerate all damage done to the physical body being controlled by Cindy Lou's consciousness. The creature made its way closer to Alec. Alec Holland froze in place as he stared at the towering swamp monster, who was just a few feet from his face. The creature reached his hand out towards Alec Holland, and vines from the trees began to wrap around him. Cindy Lou was now inches from his face. With a guttural roar, spores flew from Cindy Lou's mouth, and Alec Holland stopped breathing. Cindy Lou now protects all the plant life, and has little care in the world for human life. She made it her goal to wipe out all human life, but keep animal life to preserve the balance of the planet. Cindy Lou turned her gaze on the closest town to begin her new destructive path. She tortured the citizens of Whoville first. The Louisiana papers gave the Swamp Thing an official name, the Grinch. There is absolutely no hiding from the Grinch. We can only hope that the heroes will rise up and help. Alright, design notes time. So I know the story's a little left field. I ended up turning Cindy Lou into the Grinch, but I think for what it is, I think it kind of works. The picture itself, like the drawing that I made, this was the second drawing I did out of the 3, but I loved it so much that I had to make it the last story and the last picture of this episode. I'm a huge Grinch fan, and I had a lot of fun with it. I know it doesn't really scream Swamp Thing from like DC Comics all that much, but I tried to, do a whole background. I removed the frame, and I try to just kind of push the art just a little bit more on this one, but I know I've got some shortcomings in it, but overall I was really satisfied with the way the Grinch image shows up with all the textures that I put in there, putting on the wood bark on his arms, the Santa hat, things like that. I think turned out all right. Let me know which one you guys liked the most down below. Alright guys, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. And if you haven't checked out part 1 of me turning Christmas characters into supervillains in the Marvel and DC universe, please go ahead and check out part 1. And if you have young children at home and you don't want the holiday spirit to end, why not check out my Christmas art playlist, where I count down the 12 days of Christmas by creating 12 pieces of Christmas art with 12 special guest artists. We create things like folding surprises, watercolor paintings, holiday cards, oil pastel work, marker work, things like that. Please go check that out. You definitely won't regret it. And please join us next week on Tuesday for a regularly scheduled video where I'll be looking at my art in review for the new year just to see how much my art has changed in a year's time. So I can't wait to see you guys there. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.